Good afternoon, y'all. I'm in the lab. Been editing all morning. Actually got 3 projects to edit today, so I'm juggling between all 3. I just took a break so I could vlog a little bit. I got a couple editing machines from back in the day on the table. I figured I'd use today's vlog to talk about how long it takes me to edit. It all depends on the project, to be honest. Music videos, I always recommend at least 2 weeks to allow the edit to sit. I don't recommend 24 hours because if you put an edit in that video that you look at 2 weeks later that you don't like and you think it's cheesy or you think don't work, you don't have time to change it. By allowing your video to sit at least 2 weeks, it's giving you enough bumper time to catch any flaws or to catch any errors. Or for example, on week 2, if there was a place in the video where you wish you would have put an effect, you still got an opportunity to put an effect. So you can add or remove effects. You can see your flaws and you can see your errors. It's like when you were a kid and when you were in school. Remember when you used to write an essay and the teacher said, give the essay to the person next to you? Why they used to tell you that? Because the person next to you can see your flaws. You can't see your flaws within a short period of time, especially if you wrote the essay. But if you look at your essay a week later or when you got your paper back, it was all marked up because they saw every error. Well, that's the same reason why I like to allow the music video to sit at least a week to 2 weeks. And it all varies because the edit itself may not take you that long, but by allowing 2 weeks bumper time for the video to sit, it gives you enough time to find errors. Vlogs, on the other hand, vlogs are more flexible, they're more on the go, they're more spontaneous, there's more room for flexibility, there's more room for creativity, it's not as meticulous on the sound or it's not meticulous on the storytelling aspect, or it's not meticulous on the camera operation aspect, so it's more freedom. There's more freedom when it comes to the creation versus creating a music video. So generally when a customer asks about how long it takes me to edit, I usually tell them, depending on the workload, 1 to 2 weeks. If the edit's done sooner, I would definitely contact the client and invite them over for the screening so they can give me feedback. But I thought it was interesting that when I logged on to Google today, Google is actually honoring Sergei Eisenstein, which is actually considered the father of montage. They said that he reinvented film. I'm actually on this website called inverse.com, and they actually wrote an article, Why the Sergei Eisenstein Google Doodle Celebrates the Father of Montage. He would have been 120 years old today. But I thought this was a crazy coincidence, you know what I mean? That I'm gonna talk about editing today, and then we learn about this guy, the father of montage. So if you click this link over here, I have a Google search pulled up, and on the Google search, it even tells you on Wikipedia, it says, he was a Soviet film director and a film theorist, a pioneer in theory and practice of montage. He is noted in particular for his silent films Strike in 1925, Battleship Potkim 1925, and October 1928, as well as historical epics Alexander Nevsky 1938 and Ivan the Terrible 1944. And here's a picture of him right here. He looks like an artist, right? Creative and crafty. It said he was born on January 22nd, 1898, and he died February 11th, 1948. Now I thought this all goes hand in hand with what I was going to talk about, which is editing. Back in the day, they used to edit on machines like this. We have the Atlas Warner Super 8 editing machine, the Argus Dual 8 28 Q4 editor viewer. The one in the middle is the Mansfield Little Gem Super 8 and 16mm editing machine. It also comes with a built-in splicer. And the Baja Reviewer 2 Super 8 editing machine. People like him used to edit on machines like this back in the early 1900s. Back in the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. These are Super 8 and 8mm and double 8 editing machines. When they needed to edit, they didn't use computers. They didn't have computers. They had these. This is what you edited on. Because you know how today we use SD cards and this is how we shoot? Well, back in the day, they used things like this. Film. See, this is an actual film strip. This is a film strip to about a 3-minute movie. This is a film strip to about a 15 to 16-minute movie on a Bell & Howell projector reel. And they would put it on the spool, and then they would send it through the splicer and cut it and splice it with tape, with actual tape and scissors. With the splicer, they would cut it. They would cut the marks for every shot. And after they would cut it, then they would match it up with the other tape they wanted, and then they would tape it up. One of the most interesting things about film is that the terminology frames per second is literally frames per second, because When they say 24 frames per second, it's 24 pictures in 1 second that it takes to make that moving image. When they say 60 frames per second, 60 frames per second means it takes 60 frames in 1 second to make that picture move. And so on. 120 frames per second, 800 frames per second, etc., etc. Standard television is generally 30 frames per second. YouTube, for the most part, is 30 frames per second. Film, cinema, things of that nature, 24 frames per second. That's how you get that film look. High action, sports, and everything else is usually 60 frames and above. 60 frames per second is usually how you get your basic slow motion. In the era of these cameras, slow motion was considered 24 frames per second. Because generally, some of these cameras did 12 frames per second, 15 frames per second. I think one of them did like 8 frames per second. So 24 frames per second back in the day was considered slow-mo. Yeah, so because of machines like this and people like this, we definitely have to pay homage and pay respect to the people who paved the way for us. Because imagine how long, that's probably why his hair looked like that. You know what I mean? He was probably up all night editing. And he's like, man, I don't even need to fix my hair. I'm Gucci. Like, why I need to fix my hair? Look at me, check out my waves. You feel me? Like, yo, like. So that's it for today's vlog, y'all. I just want to appreciate this dude right here. And I also want to show you guys these little editing devices. I got a few more, but they all wouldn't fit on the table. I gotta get back to editing, man. I gotta edit 2 more projects, and the day ain't getting any shorter. And them projects ain't gonna edit themselves. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate you coming back. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate your support genuinely. If you're coming back and you're watching, I appreciate you. Thanks for rocking with me, alright? Comment, and I'll check y'all out tomorrow. Peace.